So we've raised the snowpack from some temperature less than 0 degrees Celsius, less than the melting point, up to the melting point. The entire snowpack is now isothermal. It's all at 0 degrees Celsius. And the second phase in the snowmelt process has a very descriptive title, and it is called the ripening phase. Ripening. In the ripening phase, the snowpack has been raised. It's already been raised to 0 degrees C. Further net energy inputs, net additions of heat, will cause the snow to melt, but in the ripening phase, even though the snow is melting, you're not actually getting any liquid water draining out of the snowpack. And so we're making a distinction here that this is causing liquid water to be held in tension. And so if I were to just to kind of draw, if these are my snow particles here, we've now got liquid water, but it's adhered to the grain boundaries here, and there's not enough of it to actually be draining down. And so within the ripening phase, you're adding heat to the snowpack, you're melting water, but it's just clinging, it's sticking around in the snow, it's not draining out. The maximum amount of water that you can melt and have retained against gravity is known as the liquid water holding capacity. So the max amount retained we'll define as H sub RET for retained, and we'll call this the liquid water holding capacity. And we'll note that this is equal to theta sub RET for retention times the height of the snowpack itself, H sub S. You can think of this theta term just like in describing soil moisture. It's a volumetric water content, and it's describing the liquid volumetric water content in the snowpack. And so this is the max liquid volumetric water content that can be held within the snowpack before it starts to drain. And so this is akin to the concept of field capacity in the unsaturated zone. Now, we were doing an energy balance before. Let's keep doing that. The amount of heat required for the ripening phase, we're no longer talking about specific heats because there's no longer a temperature change. Instead, we need to be talking about the latent heat. So we've got the latent heat of fusion, our friend, the latent heat of fusion, the density of liquid water, the height of the snowpack, and then we're going to multiply it by this term theta sub RET, the maximum liquid water content that's held, the volumetric water content. This is the amount of joules, or the amount of energy per area, per square meter, required to completely ripen the snowpack, to bring it from having no liquid water to as much liquid water as it can hold before it starts to drain downwards due to the force of gravity.